Hello everyone, my name is Rich Keener. I'm the Village Manager for the Village of Villa Park, and today's another one of our segments where I'll be discussing the approaching Committee of the Whole and formal board meeting agenda. So today we're going to talk about the Committee of the Whole and formal board agenda for Monday, April 11th. So let's start. So on Monday, April 11th at 7:30 here at the Village Hall, we'll start the Committee of the Whole meeting. So let's go to the agenda. So number one on the agenda is call to order roll call. Number two is the Pledge of Allegiance. Number three is amendments of the agenda. And folks, that's the appropriate time for the President and Board of Trustees to make changes to the agenda. They may want to change the wording, they may have additional questions, they may want something removed, etc. So three is the proper point to make amendments of the agenda. 4 is a proclamation declaring April 29th, 2016 as Arbor Day in Villa Park. Number 5 is a proclamation declaring National Library Week. And 7 is a presentation on recycling rates from representatives of Roy Strom Company, LLC. In order to recycle materials gathered through weekly refuge pickup, it now costs $33 per ton to transport and recycle the waste. This has become an additional financial burden to Roy Strom Company, LLC, and the village. George Strom is requesting village assistance due to increased recycling costs. Folks, what's happening is, in the past, when we recycle waste from your curb, your home, my home, it's being picked up by Roy Strom Company and then transported to the recycler and then put in the recycling waste stream. And the recycler used to pay Roy Strom Company for those products. Now it's actually a reverse. So now Roy Strom Company has to pay the recycler to recycle the goods. And that's totally different than what it's used to have been. And for about the last 12 months, maybe a little bit more, that's what's been occurring. And in the refuge contract, there's several clauses that speaks to recycling. One clause says that Roy Strom Company can come to the village and request the village pass that cost on to the residents. Another clause says that the village board can say, you know, due to the cost of recycling, we want those recycling products added to the garbage and then taken to the landfill. So that's why it's being put on the agenda for Monday night. The board is going to have to give me direction. Do we really want to take those recycled products and then put them in the garbage stream and then take them to the landfill? That's kind of contrary to what we've been doing for years and years and years. Or do we want to pass on the cost to the resident? And it isn't going to be a lot of cost. We're talking probably 48 cents or less per month, per home, to recycle your plastics, cartons, papers, etc. So that's something that I need direction from the board. And there'll be a good, healthy discussion with George Strom giving a presentation on and providing data and why this is happening. And folks, you know, one of the interesting things is that George and I were talking about discussing is that when you drink a bottled water, it used to take 9 or 10 of those bottled water containers to make a new one. Now it takes 30 just to make a new one. So there's a lot more labor intensive, a lot more contamination in the recycling stream. And by contamination, I mean, I was under the impression that I could recycle a pizza box. Well, you can't because it's contaminated with oil and maybe some cheese is still stuck on there. So I would always toss my pizza box into the recycling container. Well, when they take that to the recycling warehouse, they actually dump all this stuff on the floor, put it on a belt, and they have to take this stuff off that's contaminated the stream, and it becomes labor intensive and expensive. And additionally, a lot of these products went to China. Well, now the market's not doing very well in China and Japan, and it's a reverse now. So we'll talk about all this Monday night, and I find it kind of interesting, and I'm sure you will too, so please come and tune in. So let's move on to number 8, now that I've really talked a lot about number 7. So number 8 is to consider an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Section 14207C, no parking zones of the Village of Villa Park Municipal Code. Due to the installation of a new water main on Princeton Avenue between Terrace Street and Ridge Road, it has become necessary to modify the parking restrictions on Princeton Avenue. The proposed ordinance would update the village code to comply with the village standard of prohibiting parking along the fire hydrant side of the street. Staff recommends amendment of the Village of Villa Park Municipal Code to Section 14-207C, no parking zones. So folks, what we did is we put the new water main in, and they put the hydrants on the opposite side, which is fine. We cannot have parking in front of the hydrants for the obvious reason if we have an emergency, the fire trucks won't be able to attach their hoses to the hydrants because there'll be parked cars in the way. So we have to modify our zoning code so the parking now occurs on the other side. So number 9, consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing agreements with benefit providers. And folks, this is a long synopsis, so I'll kind of give you a brief summary of what it's about before I read it. So what it's about is, on an annual basis, the Village of Villa Park renews its contract for benefits such as health insurance, dental insurance, vision insurance, the wellness plan, EAP, which is the Employee Assistance Plan. We renew those contracts on an annual basis, usually go out for bids to make sure that we have the best pricing available. And then on a yearly basis, we come before the board to ratify those contracts, if you will, prior to May 1, so that after May 1, the new fiscal year, then we move forward with the contract. So that's what we're doing. So we went out to bid, and so the Village of Villa Park has insurance coverage for their employees, retirees, and other, move my papers around, other covered employees that renews on July 1, 2016. So you're probably thinking, well, why do you want to go through with this now, Manager Keener? What we want to do is that they renew on July 1, 2016, but we want to implement a brand new portal where if you have insurance with the Village of Villa Park, you go into this software, into the portal, through your computer, and you actually set up your own insurance. If you want a PPO, you select the PPO. If you want an HMO, you select the HMO. If you want vision, dental, you set it up yourself through the insurance portal. Right now, we do all of it manually. It's all kinds of paper, and if you make a change to a beneficiary, it causes more paper to be written and changed and copied, so it's really an intense process right now. We want to streamline that by going to insurance portal. It's all done on the internet through a secure site, an off-site, if you will. So that's what we're doing. So we're doing it now, using the portal, and then July 1, it'll already be updated in the new insurance portal, and it'll be ready to go. Anyway, the current carrier for health insurance is Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois, and no rate changes are proposed for this year. It is recommended that the village again renews coverage at a cost of $2,931,736, and the village contributions towards that cost is $2,048,256. In addition, the village has a self-funded dental plan through Delta Dental of Illinois, which has a 13% increase proposed for this plan year. It is recommended the village renews their coverage at a total cost of $155,558. So the village contributions towards that is $50,375. Life insurance provided by Fort Dearborn Life, also it's time for renewal, and the village contributions towards that is $9,877. We're self-insured in the vision provided by Vision Service Plan. The village contribution is $16,064. EAP, which is Employee Assistance Program, provided by Edward Health Ventures, formerly Elmhurst Hospital's Guidance. Village contributions toward that is $3,887. And WageWorks administers the IRS section of 125 flexible benefit services. So the village contributions towards that benefit is $1,800. The village also sponsors wellness programs through FluEase, CHC Wellness, and Virgin Plus, and the cost for that for the village is $20,519. So the fiscal year 2017, the May 1st budget provides funding for these benefits. So unfortunately, the one increase, but health insurance stayed constant, which is very positive. So number 10 for the Committee of the Whole for Monday night, April 11th, is to consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the purchase of a John Deere terrain mower through the Rock Island County Joint Purchase Agreement in the amount of $40,992.51. And you're probably thinking, Manager Keener, why is staff wanting to use the Rock Island County Joint Purchase Agreement? Folks, we look around and we look for the most cost-effective agreement through joint purchasing that we can. And the one in our area that we use was more expensive than this joint purchasing agreement out of Rock Island. So we're using that one and saving additional funds, saving your funds and the village's funds. So the cost of the mower is $40,992.51. Let me kind of read you a brief summary. Staff recommends that the village purchase one John Deere 1575 terrain cut mower with a 72-inch cutting deck, 60-inch snow blower, and a 60-inch rotary broom from Circle Tractor of Homer Glen for $40,992.51 under the Rock Island County Joint Purchase Agreement. Funds will be taken out of the Parks Capital Outlay account 36-502-02401. And folks, we do have a John Deere tractor now, and it's time for that to be replaced. It's time for that to take a second position. We went out for bids. We've got quotes for the new one. So we brought a couple of the individuals in to take a look at what we have to make proposals. No one knew the year of that John Deere tractor, but they knew that it was before their careers. And the folks that we have on staff now don't recall ever purchasing that tractor. So we've got our use out of that tractor, and it'll be a second response tractor. So if we have a huge snowstorm, we'll stick another body in that. And we tend to run these tractors down the Prairie Pass. We use the blowers and the broom for sometimes some sidewalks around Village Hall. And when we do that, that causes us to throw less salt down, and it saves the cost of salt, and it also saves the grass next to the sidewalks that the salt kills. So it's an interesting purchase. 72-inch cutting deck, wow. A 60-inch snow blower, wow. And a 60-inch rotary broom. So that's a large piece of equipment, and we'll probably have that for another 20, 25 years. And it's interesting that we take care of our equipment, that they last that long, and very proud of that. So nice John Deere tractor if it's approved Monday night. So number 11 is to consider a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing a proposal between the village and GNP Energy for a street lighting system at the North Avenue Townhomes in the amount of $104,054. The village has identified the need to install streetlights by the North Avenue Townhomes to increase public safety. Village staff requests authorization to approve the proposal in the amount of $104,054 from GNP Energy to install new lighting system in the area. Funds will be taken out of account 29-502-01299 for this improvement. And folks, that account number happens to be the North Avenue TIF. What's taking place, folks, is that North Avenue Townhomes consists of about 18 buildings, about 108 units, and some of those buildings are owned by one owner. Some of those buildings have condominiums, apartments, etc., but sometimes those condominiums, if you will, or townhomes, are owned by an individual owner. So a building may have 6 townhomes owned by 6 different people, or you may have a building of 6 townhomes owned by one individual. So what's transpiring up there, and I'm sure you're probably aware of what's transpiring, but we have a number of graffiti incidents, we have a number of criminal incidents. So what we've done in the past is we've improved lighting behind the buildings, we've installed cameras behind the buildings, we've taken over the sanitary sewer lift station. Prior to that, their lift station failed several times. The IEPA came to us and said, listen, Village of Villa Park, we're kind of going to hold you accountable because we don't want the effluent to flow into the neighboring ditches and areas. So we took over the lift station, did improvements, received a grant, did the lighting, did the cameras in the rear. Now we're taking a look at lighting in the front. There is no lighting in the north part of the North Avenue townhomes other than the lighting for North Avenue, which is IDOT lighting. So we're looking at approximately 10 to 12 light poles, which will be black, so it doesn't make it look industrialized. And they'll probably be 30 to 40 feet tall with nice lights to light up the area of the 18 buildings. And there is a sidewalk that runs east and west through that area, so it'll light that sidewalk up. It'll prevent, hopefully, graffiti from being put on the north side of the buildings. And then additionally, in the next few weeks, folks, we're going to come before the board and request permission to purchase additional cameras, which will be mounted on some of these light poles. And then those cameras will be operational 24/7 and being monitored and recorded at the police department, so that there is graffiti, if there is a criminal incident activity, it'll be recorded or be seen live, and we'll address it at that time, and that'll help us solve that particular case or prevent further incidents. And folks, to be truthful, the cameras on the south side of the North Avenue townhomes have been used to resolve and have arrests for criminal activity. So it's very positive. So just want to kind of explain what we're doing. And I'll go through this again Monday night, April 11th, on the purchase and criminal activity and things of that nature. So please come or watch live or watch the taped version. I'm sure Mr. Stash will be running it and looping it. And so I'll put some more information that evening when we talk about the North Avenue townhomes. And folks, that particular area, we visit a couple times a week at least for code enforcement, for garbage, for other improvements which need to be done. It could be the stoops, it could be other incidents, home improvements that need to be completed, and it's no different than throughout the community. We have in code enforcement drive around and talk to people, issue citations, etc. And I'll probably go into that maybe a little bit Monday night too, for the adjudication hearing process, where if you receive a citation and you don't pay it, you come through the adjudication process, which we have twice a month here at Village Hall. So enough said. I've kind of belabored that one. So number 12 for the Committee of the Whole for Monday night is to convene to the formal agenda. So we do have some interesting topics for Monday night: the recycling, the kind of change in parking due to the new water main, North Avenue townhomes, lights. So kind of interesting, kind of varied. Usually we have a ton of construction projects, but tune in though, because we'll have an update on the construction projects. And don't forget, we've got Park Boulevard under construction right now. Just got back a fantastic bid on High Ridge, which will start in June. And that road, if you haven't driven it lately, has patch after patch after patch. But in June, the reconstruction starts, resurfacing, and I would think by July that it'll be done, ready for school. Not that I want to push that along, but be a beautiful road and much needed. And just a reminder, the village has funds also put towards the road, but we did receive a sizable grant, so fantastic to make the bond referendum funding even go further by receiving a grant, so that's awesome. So anyway, I'll start the formal budget agenda, which, don't forget, it starts right after the Committee of the Whole, and the Committee of the Whole starts at 7:30. So let's start with the formal. For Monday night, April 11th, the first item is the village president's report, and that's the appropriate time for President Bullwinkle to kind of give us a summary, if you will, of what's been happening in the president's role. It could be some emails, she might have staff questions, and she might have some meetings that she attended that she wants to kind of enlighten you, the resident, or staff, or the other board members. So number one on the agenda is the village president's report, and that's the appropriate time to do that. Number two is public comments on agenda items. And that's the appropriate time for anyone in the audience to come to the podium, be recognized by President Bullwinkle, and ask questions about items in particular on the agenda. So it could be the recycling, could be the purchase of the lawnmower, etc. Four is the consent agenda. And folks, what we do is, if it's a non-controversial item, it flows from the committee of the whole to the consent, and then gets approved on the consent, and then we just move forward through the agenda to the more controversial items. And when I say controversial, it's maybe an item that deserves another chance for public comment. Like on this agenda, you'll find that the budget for May 1st, fiscal year 2016-2017, I kept it off the consent. So we have another public opportunity to comment on May 1st budget. So Monday night we'll have another opportunity for the public to comment. The last meeting, it was on the committee of the whole, and then it had its first reading on the formal agenda, and it had a public hearing. So on the last meeting, there was 3 different times for public comment, and then Monday will be the final reading of the ordinance. But I'll talk about that later. Boy, I'm just kind of getting carried away today talking about this stuff. So let's go into the consent agenda. A, bill listing dated April 11, 2016 in the amount of $637,888.51. B, minutes from the Committee of the Whole meeting for March 28, 2016. C, minutes from the Village Formal Board meeting for March 28, 2016. D, minutes from the public hearing for March 28, 2016, and that was the fiscal year 2016-2017 proposed budget. E, first and final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, amending Section 14207C, no parking zones of the Villa Park Municipal Code, due to the installation of a new water main on Princeton Avenue between Terrace Street and Ridge Road. It has become necessary to modify the parking restrictions on Princeton Avenue. The proposed ordinance would update the village code to comply with the village standard of prohibiting parking along the fire hydrant side of the street. Staff recommends an amendment of the Villa Park Municipal Code to Section 14-207C, no parking zones. So we'll move on to F for the consent for Monday night, which is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, authorizing agreements with benefit providers. And folks, as I mentioned during the Committee of the Whole, it's that time to renew the contracts for health insurance, vision insurance, dental insurance, etc. So the Village of Villa Park has insurance coverage for their employees, retirees, and other covered employees that renews on July 1st, 2016. Excuse me. The current carrier for health insurance is Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois, and no rate changes are proposed this year. It is recommended that the village again renews coverage at a total cost of $2,931,736. The village contributions towards that amount is $2,048,256. In addition, the village has a self-insured dental plan through Delta Dental of Illinois, which has a 13% increase proposed this plan year. It is recommended the village renews their coverage at a total cost of $155,558. Village contributions are $50,375 towards that. Life insurance is provided by Fort Dearborn Life, and the village contributions towards that is $9,877. We're self-insured vision provided by Vision Service Plan. Our contributions from the village are $16,064 for that. And then employee assistance services provided by Edward Health Ventures, formerly Elmhurst Hospital Guidance. Village contributions towards that is $3,887. And WageWorks administers the IRS section of the 125 Flexible Benefit Services. Our contributions towards that cost is $1,800. The village also sponsors wellness programs through FluEase, CHC Wellness, and Virgin Pulse. Our cost for that is $20,519. So the fiscal year 2016-2017 budget provides funding for these benefits. And again, this is for May 1st, 2016 for the new fiscal year. So for G for the consent agenda is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving the purchase of a John Deere terrain mower through the Rock Island County Joint Purchase Agreement in the amount of $40,992.51. Staff recommends that the village purchase one John Deere 1575 terrain cut mower with a 72-inch cutting deck, 60-inch snow blower, and a 60-inch rotary broom from Circle Tractor of Homer Glen for $40,992.51 using the Rock Island County Joint Purchase Agreement. Funds will be taken out of the Parks Capital Outlay Account 36-50202-401. So H for the consent agenda is a resolution of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, approving a proposal between the village and GNP Energy for a street lighting system by the North Avenue Townhomes in the amount of $104,054. The village has identified the need to install streetlights by the North Avenue Townhomes to increase public safety. Village staff requests authorization to approve the proposal in the amount of $104,054 from GNP Lighting to install a new lighting system in this area. Funds will be taken out of account 29-502-01299 for this improvement. And folks, that's the total consent part. Now we're moving on to number 5 for the formal agenda for Monday, April 11th, which is final reading of an ordinance of the Village of Villa Park, DuPage County, Illinois, adopting an annual budget for the Village of Villa Park for all corporate purposes in lieu of an annual appropriation ordinance for the fiscal year commencing on May 1, 2016 and ending on April 30th, 2017. So the village's FY 2017 budget ordinance provides for the continued provision of village services as well as significant capital investment as discussed during the village's budget workshops held earlier this month. So folks, number 5 is the last reading of the ordinance for the proposed budget for May 1st, 2016. And once that's completed and approved Monday night, then we'll file the budget with the county, and then May 1st we'll implement the budget. So number 6 for Monday night is the public comments on non-agenda items. And folks, that's the appropriate time for anyone in the audience to come to the podium, be recognized by President Bullwinkle, and ask the President or Board of Trustees or staff certain questions that may be on their mind at that particular time. 7 is the Village Clerk's report, and that's the appropriate time for Village Clerk Kornecki to give us a kind of a brief summary on what's been happening in the Village Clerk's role since the last time we met. 8 for the agenda, Monday night, is the Village Trustees report, and that's the appropriate time for the trustees to kind of give us a brief summary of what's been transpiring in their role as a trustee since the last time we met, or they may have questions for staff or the President. 9 is the Village Manager's report, and that's the appropriate time for myself to kind of give you and the board a kind of a brief summary of what's been transpiring in my role as Village Manager. Could be legislation that might be taking place. It could be information on a drive down to Springfield, which is going to occur May 3rd and 4th. Could be several different things, and I try to keep it interesting. 10 for Monday night on the formal agenda is the Village Attorney's report. I believe we'll have Village Attorney Benninger there, and that's the appropriate time for Jim to kind of give us a brief summary of what's been happening in the attorney's realm for the village, and it could be proposed legislation, etc. 11 is consider executive closed session, and we will be going into closed session to possibly discuss A, 5 ILCS 120-2 C1, personnel matters and collective bargaining. B, 5 ILCS 120-2 C5, purchase or lease of property. C, 5 ILCS 120-2 C6, sale or lease of property. D, 5 ILCS 120C11 pending litigation, and E, 5 ILCS 120-2C21 discussion of closed session minutes. So we'll come out of executive closed session minutes. There won't be any closed session. There won't be any action taken. So number 12, of course, is adjournment. And folks, it's not that bad of agenda for Monday night. It's got some interesting topics for you and I. And so I hope you can tune in or come and listen, ask some questions. Appreciate that. So I think this Friday night, tonight, I believe the VFW still has their fish fry going on. Thursday night, they still have their wing night. So, it won't be long before we'll have the car shows going on, and hopefully this weather will change and it'll start being in the 50s and 60s with no snow and rain. So, it's definitely a roller coaster right now, a ride for the weather. So, again, my name is Rich Keener. It's my honor to be the village manager of the Village of Villa Park. Take care, and I hope to see you Monday night.